Welcome into the Steelers Talk preview here for Week 13. I'm your host, Jack Sperry. This week, the Pittsburgh Steelers travel to the jungle at Paycor Stadium to take on Joe Burrow and the 4-7 Cincinnati Bengals in what really feels like a turning point in this 2024 season for the black and gold. Before we get into team trends, keys to victory, Joe Burrow's scouting report, my official score prediction. We got all of it coming up here, but we do have our live watch party on Sunday starting at 12 p.m. Eastern Time, an hour-long tailgate and pregame show, followed by live play-by-play and instant reaction to every single play in this football game, and then also followed by extensive post-game coverage. We'll also be doing some Super Chat giveaways as well. It's a big week here on Steelers Talk, so make sure you guys click that thumbs up icon if you want to beat the Bengals. Really do appreciate all of your guys' support. And with that, let's get into the preview here, where we've got the Steelers 8-3 coming off that loss versus the Cleveland Browns. And, of course, you play the Cincinnati Bengals, who are 4-7 at this point in their season, and they've lost a lot of close games, all right? So don't kid yourself. This is a Bengals team that's pretty darn good. They put up a lot of points. Defense isn't so good. We'll get into that. But this is certainly a team, especially at home, that could potentially knock off the Pittsburgh Steelers. However, there is a trend here that I want to make you guys aware of. If you didn't know, Mike Tomlin is excellent when you give him extra time to prepare, whether it be with a bye or whether it be with a mini bye week. Specifically after Thursday night football games in his career, the Steelers are 13-6 after Thursday night football while he's been the head coach here in Pittsburgh. So that trend certainly goes in the direction of the Pittsburgh Steelers. So you take a look here at Cincinnati and what you guys can expect from them. From a scheme perspective, they run a hybrid style offense. Zach Taylor kind of comes from the Sean McVay school of this third-generation West Coast, but then Joe Burrow is kind of a shotgun-heavy, spread-it-out type of scheme. So Zach Taylor, in his time with Joe Burrow, has kind of molded his scheme to fit his strengths. So it's kind of a hybrid between that spread-it-out kind of system and then the kind of the modernized West Coast that you see in LA, in San Francisco, in Miami, other places like that. Then on defense, Lou Anarumo runs a balanced 4-2 style of system, likes to do lots of disguises, really requires a lot of chemistry and talent on that defense, which unfortunately for Cincinnati, they don't have right now. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. But so far this season, that first 5-game stretch of their year was awful for them. They started 1-4, and it has become a theme with Zach Taylor. He does not have his teams ready to go to start seasons generally. And this year, they lost to the Patriots in Week 1. Then they lost a close one to the Chiefs in Week 2. Also lost to the Commanders in Week 3, despite putting up 33 points. Then, of course, you lose to the Ravens in Week 5. Your only win in those first 5 games came against the lowly Carolina Panthers. Then you look at the rest of the year so far. You do beat the Giants, the Browns, and the Raiders. But right now, the Bengals don't have any high leverage wins. Every single time they've played a good team, they have lost to them. The Eagles, the Ravens, the Chargers, all these different teams. Plus, they're coming off against 2 very physical opponents here in Week 10 and Week 11 with the Ravens and Chargers. So that should play a part in this game as well. Then you take a look here at Cincinnati's IR to this point in the year. Okay, you got DJ Turner, who's going to be out with a clavicle. You got Zach Moss, their running back, is out with a neck injury. Trent Brown is out with a knee on IR. There it is. And then Daxton Hill, the defensive back, is out with an ACL. Now Trent Brown has been on the IR for a little bit here. We'll keep an eye on Trent Brown if whether or not he can play and come off that IR, but certainly not looking great for these 4 gentlemen to play on Sunday. Then questionable for Sunday, Orlando Brown Jr. has been dealing with a knee injury. He'll be questionable. And Sheldon Rankins, their defensive tackle, has been dealing with an illness lately, and he is still questionable to play on Sunday versus Pittsburgh. So now let's talk about the Bengals offense here, because it is dynamic. And anybody that's watched the Bengals over the last 3 or 4 years understands this. Ever since Joe Burrow has shown up there in Cincinnati, they have been a very high-flying passing attack. So obviously Joe Burrow is going to be a big part of what they do. They got a dynamic wide receiver duo in Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, and then their running back is Chase Brown, with Mike Gesicki being a very nice passing tight end. Take a look at their trends here. The Bengals offense is currently ranking 6th in scoring offense. The Steelers currently ranking 4th in scoring defense. Very similar here in terms of the yards per play and then the third downs. Very good matchup here between this offense and this Steelers defense for sure. One of the areas that the Bengals do have the advantage, though, slightly is in the red zone. So hopefully the Steelers can get a couple of turnovers this week. They have 6 over the last 2 games. Then the points per game trends here. The Bengals are scoring 27 points per game, whereas the Steelers are giving up about 17. So that would predict that the Bengals score about 21 points on Sunday afternoon. Then you send it over to the defensive side of the ball. Trey Hendrickson is their number one edge rusher. He is by far and away their best defensive player. Their two inside linebackers and Logan Wilson and Jermaine Pratt are good, solid pieces. Then Mike Hilton, former Steelers slot corner extraordinaire, is currently the slot corner in Cincinnati. He is currently their best corner as their slot guy. Then you look at the team trends here between the Steelers with Russell Wilson to this point in the year versus the Bengals, and the Bengals defense is really down in the dumps, man. 26th in third down percentage, 31st in red zone percentage, 28th in scoring defense. They don't turn the ball over at an above average rate. This is not a very good Bengals defense, plain and simply, so this should be an opportunity for the Steelers offense to get right this week and put up some points. So the points per game trends here, 25.6 for the Steelers offense versus 26.9 given up by the Bengals, which would predict about 26 points for the black and gold. And if you guys have been keeping up here, you guys would know that would mean a 26-21 Steelers win on Sunday versus the Pussycats. And, you know, a 5-point differential is not nothing, all right? The margin of error is 3 points, okay? So, I mean, this is beyond the margin of error. So the Steelers are the clear favorite heading into Sunday's matchup, at least if you believe the trends. So still to come here on Steelers Talk. Keys to victory versus the Bengals. Got 4 of them to share with you guys, or maybe 5 of them. I can't remember exactly how many keys to victories I have this week. Also, I got my Joe Burrow scouting report, letting you guys know why he's one of the best elite quarterbacks in the National Football League. Then we'll get into my official Week 13 score prediction, where I predict this week's matchup. But before we get into the rest of this week's preview, go ahead and check out our friends at Fanatics, where you guys can get a brand new Russell Wilson Steelers jersey for either yourself or somebody you love this Christmas season when you go to chatsports.com/Russ. Plus, you get to help out Steelers Talk, our channel here a little bit, because when you click on that link, chatsports.com/Russ, I'll put that in the comments and description of today's show. Click that link, make a purchase, and Fanatics sends us part of the proceeds. So if you want to help out our channel, plus you want to get a brand new Russell Wilson jersey for either you or someone you love for Christmas here, go ahead and go to chatsports.com/Russ to pick up your jersey today. First key to victory is to get after Joe Burrow, okay? And this is always a key to victory when you play the Cincinnati Bengals, because they traditionally don't have a very good offensive line, but Joe Burrow, make no mistake, is absolutely phenomenal as their quarterback. He is absolutely in the elite superstar class of QB as far as I am concerned, and I think he is absolutely fantastic as the quarterback of the Cincinnati Bengals, and he is absolutely playing MVP-level football right now. If the Bengals just had a better record and they didn't lose every close game that they played this year, he might even have a shot to win MVP this year. He is playing that well at this point in the season. And I think that he is somebody here that, you know, I don't think he's going to get MVP consideration, but you take a look at the numbers right here, man. Just 4 interceptions to 27 tuds, over 3,000 yards. He is carrying the Bengals offense this year, especially with the injury to Zach Moss. And he's got almost a 70% completion percentage when the defense essentially knows he's throwing it on every single play, it seems like. They throw the ball a lot there in Cincinnati, and he is still that effective, all right? And the reason why he is so effective, guys, is he's got so much nuance in his game. All right, the mental processing. He can get from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to his check down faster than just about anybody in the National Football League. It allows them to do a lot of stuff schematically that way. Also, the accuracy is top-notch, which is brought in with great footwork and great upper body mechanics. Super fluid, super clean mechanics lead to great accuracy. Throws with awesome touch to all levels of the field. He's got really good pocket presence and playmaking instincts as well, which allow him to make plays out of structure, even though he's not the most elite, dynamic athlete in the world. He's a good enough athlete. I wouldn't necessarily call him a plus rusher, but he can certainly move a little bit. He's good. He's a good thrower on the run. He keeps his eyes down the field when outside the pocket. But he's not necessarily a physical juggernaut like a Patrick Mahomes or a Josh Allen, but he is an elite NFL quarterback because of the way he plays the position. And the way you stop him is you get quick pressure on him, which is possible because of this really lowly Bengals offensive line. You see where all these guys are grading and ranking at their respective positions, all well below average in their respective positions, except for Orlando Brown Jr. at left tackle, and even he will be questionable for Sunday afternoon. So if Orlando Brown Jr. cannot play, keep your eye on that one. It's going to be good for either Alex Highsmith or Nick Herbig. We still don't know if Highsmith will play, so that's why I have Herbig listed here in the trench matchup here. But you got TJ Watt going up against the rookie Amarius Mims on the right side. That's a good matchup for TJ. You got Cam Hayward going up against Volson at left guard. Oh my goodness, that should be an absolute mismatch right there with all the one-on-ones Hayward is getting this year. And then whether it's Herbig or whether it's Highsmith, I think they can be effective on the other side there with Brown dealing with a little bit of an injury. So you got to get after Joe Burrow if you're going to have success this week. And then also you got to find a way to contain Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. Now this is very much easier said than done. When you combine all-world kind of talents like Jamar Chase, who I consider a top 3 receiver in the game right now, and T. Higgins, who is arguably a borderline number 1 receiver in his own right, on the other side of him, it's going to be very, very difficult to match up with these two guys. And honestly, Joey Porter Jr. is a better matchup for T. Higgins than he is for Jamar Chase. So because of this matchup here, and I'm not really comfortable putting Dante Jackson on Jamar Chase in one-on-one coverage all that consistently, I would expect to see a lot of zone coverage from the Pittsburgh Steelers on Sunday afternoon. Now, the Steelers are predominantly a zone team in general. They play a lot of cover 3. They throw in cover 2 as a changeup, but I really do think that they're going to be living in cover 3 and cover 2 quite a bit on Sunday to try to keep their eyes on the quarterback and not allow one-on-one matchups with Chase and Higgins to dominate this football game. Then we get into the offensive side of the ball here, which is to not let Trey Hendrickson loose. All right, this guy is special. All right, he gets after the quarterback at a rate that we just don't see with any other edge rusher in the National Football League right now. He is leading the National Football League in sacks by a full sack right now. Number 1 at 11.5. The person trailing him right now is Danielle Hunter. And I really, really love the way Trey Hendrickson plays. He plays with so much power and a little bit of finesse as well. Now, the person that's going to be tasked with going up against Trey this week is going to be Dan Moore Jr., who has had a decent season overall, but he has given up 4 sacks in the last 2 weeks. And in the first half of that game against the Cleveland Browns, when the ground wasn't super snowy, he gave up multiple sacks to Myles Garrett. And honestly, if the conditions would have kept up for the entire game and it didn't snow as much as it did in the second half, Myles Garrett might have gotten a couple more. All right, Dan Moore did not have a good game last week against Cleveland. He did not have a good game against the Baltimore Ravens before that. He needs to turn around this week because he's got a monster this week in Trey Hendrickson on the other side of him. Then we get to the passing game here, and I think that a big key to victory is going to be to feed George Pickens, because Pickens has dominated the Cincinnati Bengals in his career. You guys will remember his crazy game where he completely went off in Mason Rudolph's debut last year against the Cincinnati Bengals last season, where he took a slant to the house. He caught multiple deep shots. This guy can absolutely destroy their number 1 corner right now in Cam Taylor-Britt. He is not a number 1 level corner. He's definitely not good enough to go up against George Pickens. So if I'm Russell Wilson, if I'm Arthur Smith, I am finding ways to get George Pickens the football as much as I can. Then the final key to victory this week is to let Russ cook. All right? And I think that when you're playing a defense as bad as the Cincinnati Bengals, and you've had so much success against this defense in the past, even Kenny Pickett put up quite good numbers against the Cincinnati defense last year. I think that you let Russell Wilson go out there and you try to bomb it down the field a little bit. You try to put up a lot of points, because I guarantee you, going up against this Steelers defense, even a guy like Joe Burrow and this Bengals offense, I don't think they're going to be able to keep up and score 30-plus points on the Steelers this week. If the Steelers can get to 30, I think they win this football game, so you got to let Russ do his thing. And last week, he played very, very well. I think he can do it again against this really bad Bengals defense. I think you got to let him loose, let him go, let him throw the ball down the field to his weapons. I think we're going to see Mike Williams on the field more this week, and I think that this is going to be the week the Steelers offense finally puts it all together and they put up over 30 points against the Bengals. So because of that, I'm going to give them 34 points in a 34-24 win. I believe in Mike Tomlin off of a mini bye. I believe in him when you give him ample time. I believe in this offense with Mike Williams. I'm hoping is going to get more playing time coming off of that mini bye as well. And I do think that this is an offense that has had success against the Bengals defense in the past, and I think that they can replicate that success. And I just honestly don't see the Bengals, as good as they are on offense, matching the Steelers if they get over 30 points. So that's where I'm at, 34-24 Steelers win. Let me know what you guys think down there in the comments section. Predict the score of Steelers versus Bengals down there in the comments section. And don't forget to click that subscribe button. We do these in-depth previews for every single Steelers game whether it's regular season, whether it's postseason, all that great stuff, guys. We also put out free and informative Steelers videos for you guys every single day. So make sure you guys click that subscribe button if you haven't already. And until next time, here we go, Steelers.